they're getting ready to have the Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis. Do you care? I don't care.
Oh,
Are they
okay, we don't
both
have
running for
anybody.
president? I don't
I
think
forget.
so.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, we're good? Okay.
Hey, I like the
Why do I feel like I need
surreptitious
to put a
trying to hide the
seatbelt on?
microphone in the flower pot.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 7th. It is 2:09 p.m. Welcome, everyone. I will call this meeting to order, and it will have the record reflect we do have quorum. We will start with our next agenda item, which is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. We'll have our invocation led by our council members, Mrs. Sandra Bowen, and our pledge of allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Robert Molina.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today to thank you for the blessings you have given us and those to come. We ask that you continue to be with this city, Lord, that we love so dearly. Continue to be with this council that puts you above service, above all. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Just turn and face the flag, hand over your heart. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Okay. We will move on to our public comments. We do have someone wishing to speak before city council. At this time, I'll call Mr. Joe Alvarez. Welcome. Hello.
I'll make this quick, and I appreciate your
Hey, Joe.
time today. I was sent here on a special assignment. So, want to make sure everybody is aware of what we got going on with TxDOT, especially in November. But first off, let me bring you greetings from our executive director, Mark Williams, our district engineer, Valente Olivares, and our Alice area office area engineer, Lucio Ramos. And so I will pass this out to each and every one of y'all. And we will leave these downstairs for the public to be able to look at. And so every year in November, we especially like to highlight the fact that it's been 23 years since we had a deathless day on our Texas roads. And so for that, we'd like to increase awareness and bring to everyone's attention to help improve that standard and to potentially take away that statistic so that way we can have safer roads for everyone to drive on. And so just real quick, there's been 4,406 people lost their lives on Texas roads just in 2002 alone. And there's been a death every day on Texas roads for 23 years straight. That's more than 83,000 people, and that's the streak that we are here to bring awareness that we want to break. And so there's some other information on there. There's a website where you can visit. And like I said, I'd be happy to work with our office to collaborate with the City of Alice and our friends and neighbors here in town to potentially do an event or something where we can reach more folks in our community.
Thank you for that presentation. Also, we do have a proclamation, if you will join us. I'll read it and
Surprise.
then, yeah.
Yeah, that's. Apologize, I wasn't prepared for that, but I appreciate it. Yes.
So, I'll read it and then, I'll go down there to
Okay.
present, okay? This proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Cynthia Carrasco, whereas the aim of the End the Streak Safety Campaign is to promote pedestrian and driver safety, and whereas Texas Transportation Commissioners, the Texas Department of Transportation, the TxDOT Corpus Christi District, and the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, fully support TxDOT's End the Streak campaign, and whereas the last deathless day on Texas roadways was November 7, 2000, and whereas traffic crashes claimed 118 souls in our 10-county TxDOT Corpus Christi District in 2022. And whereas we all have the power to end the streak of daily deaths on Texas roadways, don't speed, don't drive impaired, put away the cell phone, buckle up, and obey traffic laws. And whereas it is the desire and goal of the City of Alice and the Texas Department of Transportation to see the deaths on Texas roadways end, and whereas we believe that together we can make a difference and reach the end the street goal through the creating positive change in our community, one driver at a time. Now therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in me as mayor of the City of Alice, I do hereby proclaim the month of November 2023 as End the Street Month in the City of Alice, and encourage all citizens to observe November as End the Street Month by practicing safe driving, and declare together that we will work to end the streak of daily deaths on Texas roadways. Thank you. And
Thank you,
Council,
Mayor and Council.
I know you wanted to wear the orange shirt.
Excuse me, sorry, Sandra, I didn't.
Thank you so much.
Are you gonna give one to Edna?
And have all of them.
Oh, okay, okay, great. I'll share.
And I even have them in Spanish.
And we'll put them on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you. Okay,
Oh, thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
thank you. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 4, consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the governing body so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent agenda and voted on separately. I lose my breath. 4.1. Discuss, consider, and act upon approval of city council minutes for the October 17, 2023 city council meeting. Okay. And I think there was corrections and
There was a couple of corrections.
those
Well,
are,
actually, there were not corrections. We touched the wrong one. We were having difficulties with that one.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, it looked the same
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
saw.
So if council does not have any objections to the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? A motion carries. Agenda item number 5, individual consideration. 5.1, discuss, consider, and take action on a resolution expressing official intent to reimburse costs of the city projects from tax exempt obligations to be issued by the city of Alice and other matters related thereto.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have with us today Jay Wattis with McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton. He's going to talk about this reimbursement resolution, and we'll probably talk about it in another agenda item a little bit as well relating to this issue. What this is a reimbursement resolution for any debt that we will incur in a future date, or to be able to be reimbursed from that, or reimburse from any grants that we get. And this relates specifically to the EPA lead and copper rule that has been around. It got revised in 2007 and 2021 again. And TCEQ is managing that for EPA in the state of Texas. And so we're required to inventory every one of our service lines on the public and private side. And we've been at this for a while, and we're about to get ramped up on doing the inventory. And the deadline is October of 2024. And so this is getting ahead, so in case any costs that we incur, we'll be able to get reimbursed. So. Jay?
Thank you, Mr. Esparza. For the record, my name is Jay Juarez, Honorable Mayor, City Council. My pleasure to be here. As he mentioned, I'm a bond attorney with the law firm of McCall, Parkerson, Horton. Also in the audience are your financial advisors, Adon Gonzalez and Matt Lujan at Estrada Hinojosa. And like Mr. Esparza said, this doesn't create any sort of an obligation at this time. This is really a federal tax law-driven action item that you all are considering, and all it does is allow you all in the future, should you decide to issue debt, to reimburse your general fund with debt that may be issued in the future. And there's a 60-day look-back period, meaning that if you all take action tonight, you all could conceivably reimburse yourselves from bond proceeds looking back 60 days from today. And the shelf life on this item is 3 years from the initial expenditure. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Council, any questions? Mr. Molina?
No, I'm good.
Mrs. Bowman?
Okay, 3 years from initial expenditures. No, not right now, thank you.
Mr. Garza?
It's a program that we're gonna be getting into.
So right now, you all have a PIF application in with TWDB. So this action item is in relation to that program. We don't know whether you all are going to get grant or low income or low interest financing in relation to that program. But there is an ancillary component that is the TWDB program. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what it is, so we have a project information form that we submitted to Texas Water Development Board to be able to get funding for this item. And so that's in there, and we're expecting to hear back already, and they moved the dates forward, so we won't hear back till January. Where's Barbara? January, February? Right, on what their funding mechanism is gonna be, whether it's gonna be grants or whether it's gonna be loans that we're gonna have to take out for this program. And so that's in place. This right here is just the resolution that allows us to reimburse ourselves for any expenses. So this is, one of those things that got unfunded mandate that got pushed down to us to do a service line inventory. And, along the way is, well, how do we pay for it? Well, EPA and federal government says, well, we have some money channeled through Texas Water Development Board, and now I guess they're creating the rules for that and determining what's going to be grant, what's going to be low interest, zero interest, or what's going to be full-on loans. But there is an agenda item, a couple down that on this particular item that we need to get started on. So as it relates to this, Barbara, do you want to talk about that as well?
You're correct. Texas Water Development Board initially, when they came out with their DWSRF state drinking water, state revolving fund, lead and copper program, they looked to commit funds December of this year, but as Mr. Esparza said, they've moved that timeline to the first part of 2024, maybe January or February before they'll commit. And they're working on their process or procedure for what the application process would be. So we're continuing to work on the inventory, our staff, the water plant staff. And then there's an agenda item on here, a couple of more agenda items about hiring a consultant to help finish that inventory. But we did, as Jay said, we did submit a project information form to Texas Water Development Board, and that was ranked and evaluated, and it looks like we may be invited to apply based upon the ranking. And initially, Texas Water Development Board said that if your project is just for planning and design, that you would get some loan forgiveness, and then the rest of it would be 0% interest. But again, we don't know what their final rules are, their final process, so we're just trying to plan ahead with this reimbursement resolution in case we are invited to apply and we do get a 0% loan through Texas Water Development Board and some loan forgiveness.
Okay. May I? Sure. You said we were already ranked, we're
The
top
PIF, the
20%?
Project Information Form, was ranked, and we were ranked
63, I think it was.
60-something?
60.
It may be in your packet.
I believe it was 63 out of 200 and something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
so top 20%.
And again, it depends upon the availability of total funds that Texas Water Development Board has.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, any other questions or discussion in reference to this agenda item? Yes, sir.
Just a summary kind of ordeal. We were told by higher up we need to check our pipes. We're paying for that, but now they're gonna reimburse us for that, for the expenditure we're making.
Pretty much, yeah, and this is not just us, this is everybody in the state, or.
Correct.
Yeah, everybody's dealing with the same problem that we're dealing with now, and so, you know, and part of it is we could do some of the older parts is that we don't have records on. Newer subdivisions, we know what's in the ground. We have plans, we have specs on subdivisions that say there's PVC and the service lines are PVC, so we can rule out some areas of town and just by the nature of having the proper records. You know, I don't foresee us having, we're not old enough to have some copper service lines. I mean, some lead service lines like some older places in Texas. But we still have to go ahead and check before and after the meter, but yeah.
Okay.
And any line that we cannot identify is considered lead.
Right, if we don't identify it by October 2024, then on our form, it's considered lead. Now you have to test water regularly in that location. That's why, you know, it's best to get it all looked at.
Right.
So we can physically verify this is not a lead or copper line, and you're good to go.
So theoretically speaking, this could also help us out when it comes time to update our infrastructure. So this could be also a good thing.
Definitely.
No other questions or discussion, council? Okay. If there's no further questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion in reference to this agenda item.
May I make a motion adopting a resolution expressing an official intent to reimburse costs of the city projects from tax exempt obligations to be issued by the city of Alice and other matters related thereto.
Second?
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. All opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don, thank you.
5.2, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution that denies an increase in revenue and a change in rates proposed by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, doing business as CenterPoint Energy NTEX and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas, authorizes continued participation in the Texas Coast Utilities Coalition of Cities, representation of the city by special counsel,
Yes, you should.
intervention in proceedings related to CenterPoint's statement of intent, and requires the reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses. Sorry.
Thank you. Mayor, I'll deal with this. This is a little bit different from our usual GRIP sort of stuff, is that CenterPoint has done two things: requested an increase in certain areas, but then also they want to consolidate the rate regions. And actually, and as Freddie said in Elliot sent, that should be in your all's packet, that actually the increase in the other areas, when they consolidate them, it would cause a decrease in the South Texas area and actually in the East Texas area. However, he's not certain on that. He wants to be able to review the specific customer class to see how much of a rate reduction is there, number one. Number two, if they approve less of a rate increase, that is a greater reduction for people in our area and in East Texas. And so normally in this situation, what happens is the Railroad Commission reviews it, and as he told you guys, is that I can't remember a time in my existence when we've been dealing with this where the Railroad Commission hasn't, if they approve a rate increase, it's always lower. And so, you know, it's a benefit to go ahead and do that and just see how far, just how much of a reduction we can get. And so this resolution just says that we're going to object to it and confirms that we're part of the coalition that we're part of.
And authorizes the legal counsel
Yes,
to be
authorizes them.
hired.
And generally, the fees on this are paid by CenterPoint as they do a part of their complaint or their objection.
Okay.
Okay.
Counsel, any questions? Mr. Garza?
Not at the moment, no.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. If there's no questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion in reference to this agenda item.
Mayor, make a motion adopting the resolution that denies an increase in revenue and a change in rates proposed by CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, DBA CenterPoint Energy Intex, and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas, also authorizing continued participation in the Texas Coast Utilities Coalition of Cities and representation of the city by special counsel intervention in proceedings related to CenterPoint statement of intent, also requiring the reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. 5.3, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution allocating the city's total entitlement and official ballot casting 460 votes for one or more candidates placed on the voting ballot to serve on the Jim Wells County Appraisal District Board of Directors for the 2024-2025 year term.
And Mayor and Council, this is continuation of that agenda item that we had last meeting where you all named a person to be on the ballot, and so we got the ballot back. And on page
24 of 82?
24, is it?
The list of candidates?
Yes. Yes, on 24, yeah, the list of candidates. And so here, if you look at page 23, that tells us the amount of votes that we have, and that's based off of how much tax everybody collects. So we have a total of 460 votes. Go down the list, Jim Wells County has 1,845 votes. Awadulce ISD, 105. Alice Independent School District, 1,500. Ben Bolt, 135. La Gloria ISD, 45. Orange Grove ISD, 520. Fremont ISD, 225. San Diego ISD, 90. City of Alice, 460. City of Orange Grove, 40. City of Fremont, 30. And City of San Diego inside Jim Wells County is 5, and that totals 5,000 votes. So you can assign all 460 to one person, or you can divide it however you want, but it's up to you guys to decide how to place the city's 460 votes.
Council, any questions or discussion?
Sign the resolution for them so they can.
Mr. Molina?
We had nominated Newell Atkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm okay with putting them all toward him.
Yeah,
Ms. Bowen?
I'm okay with putting the 460 to who we nominated, Mr. Atkinson.
Mr. Garza?
How many votes does the individual need to be put on the board?
Well, there's 5 board members. Well,
So
yeah,
3 of them for sure not gonna get in there.
right. Typically, we have about, and we need to do the math here, we usually have about, not even half of a,
Yeah,
Right,
no, it's
we
all right.
still need more.
I'll,
Yeah, so the print-
more
I'll go ahead and go with my colleagues, and we'll give it to the city's nominee.
No further discussion or questions in reference to this agenda item? No further, okay. If there's no further discussion or questions in reference to this agenda item, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution allocating the city's total entitlement, which is 460 votes. I'm sorry, an official ballot casting of 460 votes for Newell Atkinson, third. As being placed on the voting ballot to serve on the Jim Wells County Appraisal District Board of Directors for the 2024 to 2025 year term.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, council.
834 is what somebody needs to get in.
Moving on to agenda item 5.4. Discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution, A, accepting the terms of TxDOT Amendment Number 1 to the grant agreement for project number 22 HG Alice for the airport hangar project. B, committing the city's half of the $16,667 in additional required cash match. And C, authorizing the city manager to sign amendment number 1.
Good
Hi.
afternoon again, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this amendment is to add the 2023 non-entitlement primary funds that have been allocated for the airport. That's $150,000. When we first brought the hangar project to you in 2022, we didn't have estimated construction costs. And at that time, we only had 2019 and 2020 MPE funds totaling $300,000. So the initial grant agreement with TxDOT is for $333,000. 300,000 of that being the MPE funds, and then $33,333 being the local match shared equally between the city and the county. That grant agreement was approved by you and Commissioners Court, signed, and then in September of 2022, the FAA reinstated the airport into the NIPIAS system, which made us eligible for MPE funds again, and we were allocated the 2023, which we can add to the hangar project through this amendment. And if we don't need to use the 2023 or don't need to use all of it, TxDOT Office of Aviation said we can bank the remainder for another capital project. So we're asking for your authorization to allow us to accept this amendment number 1, have the city manager sign it, and to provide the additional cash match, which will bring the city's total cash match to $25,000 and the county's total cash match to $25,000. It'll bring TxDOT and FAA's grant to $500,000. And we'll take this to Commissioners Court on Monday, the 13th.
Okay, council, any questions? Mr. Garza?
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
I'm
Mr.
good, Mayor.
Williams?
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no questions or any further discussion in reference to this agenda item, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the terms of TxDOT Amendment Number 1 to the grant agreement for project number 22 HG ALICE for the airport hangar project. committing the city's half of the 16,667. Okay. In addition, required cash match and authorizing the city manager to sign amendment number 1.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Agenda item 5.5, discuss, consider, and act upon awarding the contract for firm to provide consulting services for completing the EPA required inventory for water service lines. Who will be presenting this? Mr. Esparza?
Demetrio and Barbara.
Mr. Duarte? Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and city staff. Before I get started, I want to thank Team Atlas for assisting on this project like many others. That's Ms. Barbara, Ms. Desiree, the folks over in finance, Gabriel and Vanessa and their team, as well as David Garza, Rolando Garcia. We also got Marco Rasso and William Brinkman, as well as City Manager Esparza that assisted with this agenda item. I want to start just with a little bit of history of why we are where we're at today with this revised lead and copper rule. Some of it might be repetitive of what was mentioned by our city manager and or by Barbara. But back on December 16th, 2021, the EPA announced the next steps to strengthen the regulatory framework on lead and drinking water. The lead and copper rule was first issued back in 1991, and it is a federal regulation that aims to protect public health by limiting the levels of lead and copper in our tap water. Following the EPA's review of the lead and copper rule revisions under executive order, EPA had concluded that there are significant opportunities to improve the rule to support the overarching goal of proactively removing lead service lines and more equitably protecting public health. The rule's intent, again, number one, is to further reduce lead concentration levels in drinking water. Currently, that level is at 0.015 milligrams per liter. And also for water systems to manage their resources and assets. The rule is broken into 5 phases. Phase number 1 is service line inventory, and that's the reason for this agenda item today. All community water systems must create a service line inventory, and we have to use a form that TCEQ has set out there for us. And like has been mentioned by Mr. Esparza, it needs to be submitted to the TCEQ by October the 16th of 2024. Water plant personnel started on this inventory project some months back. They have spent over 400 hours besides their duties of operations at the plant, reviewing historical data and records such as maintenance work orders, development plats, tap cards, plumbing records at the coach department, as-built, past inspection, and comparing maps. To meet the required inventory deadline, again, October 16th, 2024, and after several meetings with Team Atlas and members, the decision to bid project for assistance was determined. So with that said, back in the invitation for bids number 2023-001 was published in the Atlas Equinews Journal on August the 30th, 2023, and again on September the 6th, 2023. The IFB was also posted on the city website and emailed to a list of prospective bidders. There was a total of 18. 14 of those came off the Texas Comptroller's website, and 4 were by direct contact. Bids were due at 3 p.m. Tuesday, October the 3rd. We received 3 bids from HBK Engineering, RJN Group, and Harton and Associates Consulting. The contract to be awarded is for a firm to provide resources to assist water plant staff in completing the EPA required inventory for water service lines. The deadline again for completing this is October the 16th, 2024. I just can't not emphasize that date enough. We have the city has reserved $150,000 for lead and copper project. in a utility construction fund for Phase 1, the one we're talking about today. Our lead and copper projects were submitted, we submitted a PIF, as has been mentioned as well, to the Water Texas Development Board with a budget of $755,320. Part of that budget is for the hiring of a consulting firm to locate service lines with GIS map coordinates to investigate and determine the material of service lines. Again, this is on the city side and on the private side. And to categorize such lines to determine non-lead or lead for replacement. As also as mentioned, a project ranked number 63 out of 259. Projects were submitted to Texas Water Development Board for SFY 2023 Drinking Water State Revolving Fund lead service line replacement funding program. Any questions?
Council, Mr. Molina?
Okay, there's a matrix that is attached to your packet. The three firms that did bid
It's an attachment. I just left it on.
were HAC, HBK, and RJN. The bid evaluation matrix is based on a number of special provisions for this funding that bidders were required to base or formulate their bid. As you can see on the spreadsheet, HAC did include on their bid the required provisions that we had asked for all the way across the board. The other two did not. So it is my recommendation with y'all's approval to award the project to Hart and Associates.
Just for clarification, on your matrix, that's HAC.
HAC, yes, sir.
Mr. Molina, any question?
Thanks for clearing that up. I'm good.
Mrs. Bowman?
Once and if approved, the city manager will negotiate, correct?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Details on the excavation portion
Correct.
that's included in theirs. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Garza?
That seems self-explanatory. I got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You had mentioned 400 hours, that's including administration and everyone together, or just the water? I
No,
was
just the
curious.
water
Just the water,
department.
okay. I know y'all been working on it for a long time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and I appreciate in your presentation acknowledging Team Alice and everyone else affiliated, so thank you for that.
No problem.
Okay, if there's no further discussion or questions in reference to this agenda item, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to award the contract to HAC providing consulting services for completing the EPA required inventory for the water service lines.
Could we clarify the name for the record?
Oh.
HAC.
It's Hart and Associates Consulting.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 5.6, discuss, consider, and act upon amending hot funds application process. Okay. Would you like to elaborate on that, or do we just?
Y'all's item. Yeah, I know that for us,
It's been,
we do need some clarification on how to move forward with it because
well,
it's been there for a while. I know we didn't, we have some people asking for the application, so yeah, you guys were right to ask for it on the agenda to
the only,
clarify.
yeah, the only thing that I would say, because I mean, you deal with it more than any of us at the administration, because it's allocated for the city clerk and administration to look that over. Is there something on the application specifically that you are running into that you feel that needs to be amended or changed? Or to just, or instead of revisiting every year to adopt an application, can we just adopt the application? Do you see anything in the formatting?
So the new application is kind of intimidating for people. It's kind of long. The other process was just a two-pager, and that's all finance needed to work off of it, so.
Now, let
No,
me,
it got cumbersome because the dollar amounts jumped up quite a bit. But
Right.
back when on the ordinance talks about the 1,800. Oh, is it 1,800 we have on there?
It's 1832, and then.
the one that we repealed, you're talking about that?
No, the ordinance is still in place.
The
It was
ordinance
just
is
the
in place.
application.
Okay, just the,
It was the pre-registration and then the maybe
Yeah.
8-page application, and we used to
Okay.
have a 2-page. So we would have to change the application every year to put the budget amount in there. And
Okay.
then they have to register
Yeah.
all at once and just.
okay,
give out the
so,
money.
the application, if we could, what the recommendation is to go back to the simple application form with the same guidelines?
So
Cause we
if you
have,
limit the dollar amount, so when this first started years ago, it was $1,800 for advertising. And nonprofit, there you go, pretty simple to pay for the advertising. Then when it jumped up to be all these other things, then the application had to get a lot more intensive. And so that's, where it came from. So it's all stems on the dollar amount.
But at the end of the day, it's validating every dollar that they're spending, right? Like it makes these organizations that come forward to say, hey, this is why I need what I need, right? This is my kind of game plan. Or
Ga-
whatever,
it
Both applications
require that.
Right,
Yeah.
you would have to submit your budget, you would have to
Yes.
submit
Right.
your expenses. I think the new one that you've created was just more intensive as far as your expectations and so forth. But to answer that question, both applications, you had to submit a budget, show
Right.
your application.
Right.
And your insurance.
Correct.
In 2 pages?
In 2 pages.
Well, see, the thing is, both of them required the same, same information after the fact.
Got
The
it.
2-page was how many hotels, where are they coming from, what are you gonna be
Right.
doing? The application
The
itself.
verification of the hotel
Right,
stays.
it was more specific, it was.
If there's an easier way to do that, I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, at the time, I know we went some headaches over this a couple years
And
ago.
then the other part of the old application was, we would pay the vendors direct. The new application was we were paying the nonprofit and so
Right.
forth, and then they would allocate their payments. So that was another part of the application, because we would require W-9s from their vendors and so forth.
Right. I mean, I like doing it that way, keeping it easier, right, where we don't have to be, right, because if we write it out, then we got 1099 them, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right,
Uh-huh.
so they make it a little simpler. Well, there's a way to, cut out some of
It's
that.
also, but the other thing is what's the comfort level on the dollar amount per activity, per item?
Our ordinance states, 18.5 or something, 18 to 3 or,
Well, what is,
And let's clarify something.
sure.
It's your all's, you all give as much money as you want. The law
Right.
doesn't say you have to use form number 1 if you're only gonna give $1,800. You have to
Right.
use form number 2 with 8
Right.
pages if you're gonna give more than that. So there's no requirement in the law that you have to have 8 pages instead of 2 pages if you're gonna give more. Thank you. There's no
Man, I
requirement
was
in the law that you have to use 8 pages instead of 2 if you're gonna give more than $1,800. So that's the first thing to clarify. And then I think that the 8 pages came into play is because there was an issue in regards to payment of the vendors, or the sub-vendors, or whatever you want to call them, that they wanted to do it, to pay it directly. And so when that occurred, then there was additional information that needed to be given to the city to confirm that that was done and that's where it was done. Is that correct?
As well as like how many rooms, I think it was based off of stays and everything was how much.
Okay, but we're talking about just the application currently, not the actual, because we adopted a process already, a grant.
I mean,
guidelines,
personally, I don't think the system is broken, just because it worked the last time that we did it, and I know it was pretty painstaking coming up with that application, because, people wanted details, and they wanted to, find a way to validate that these hotels are doing it, and making kind of the organization, do their homework and kind of prove that they are putting, the old, so,
The only thing that I thought, like on our application process or the guidelines that we have set out, we had an opening of the application, pre-application and application, those dates, and showed June, and then it closed out, and then it showed another date when they're awarded. I thought if we could simplify that or identify, because I think in June, we still haven't, it's still part of last budget cycle, and I wanted it to be more in line with our fiscal.
Well, I think that's why we have it here before us, because last year it was kind of in the middle of it. I
Yeah.
think that we kind of started halfway or something, and the original, John's over there frowning. I know the original, design or indication or preference was that, you know, these organizations would come forward before budget time to say, hey, this is what this is what we're gonna do this year, and kind of,
So that we could budget it.
right, and kind of getting in line, you know.
Well, we already know more or less, and we already decided on that with our guidelines, what's gonna be allocated. I just wanted to clarify, like, what was the portion that was causing some confusion or making it difficult? That's the only thing.
I didn't hear from the actual people that applied. I just knew that the form had to be changed once a year to change the budget amount, but
Okay.
they were.
So, just that one portion, we already, during our budget process, allocate a certain amount. Could that application just be an application and we know what our funds are available, or
If y'all wanted to
I'm just
Well, I
asking?
change out, so that application is set to not have, you know, we have specific dates, so it shouldn't be specific dates, it should be, you know, like, or we have June 5th, 2023. It should just be like the June 1st every year, and those kind of things. Also, the percent that's allocated, y'all had set 15% of that year's allocations. And so that's specifically in the application.
This one right here.
If we just, if we know it's gonna be 15%, we add that to there, and that line item in the budget will be 15%. So, you know, that'll allow us from having to look at the application every single year, and just skip the actual dollar amount there that it's saying.
So you're saying that you
On the
just
grant
wanna
guidelines.
go to a general percentage
Yeah.
Exactly.
instead of a month.
That's
Instead,
it.
So if you're looking at the grant
Every
application,
year.
the grant guidelines, yeah, the total grant available for FY 2023, there's 2024 is 40,000, but it should just be, that doesn't even need to be on there. Just the grant funding is based on 50% of the previous year's hot funds.
there you
And
go.
so,
Sounds good.
so then that application doesn't have to come back. I mean, the grant guidelines don't have to come back every year.
Okay,
and,
that sounds good to me. Right?
Joe.
And then y'all are gonna, this first year again, would change, we'll get it set for the next year, pre-applications. Y'all had June 5th to June 26th, you could just say, June 1st to
Every
to
year.
the June 30th or something, and leave
Instead
the
of
year
putting
out.
the year.
Got it.
Okay.
I think that's,
Yeah,
yeah, leave out the year. I think so too.
And then the application distribution, you'll be the date for that, Michael?
yeah, we can make those general dates, so also be June 30th.
Of current
Application
fiscal
deadline.
year.
So the only thing that's gonna change is basically the wording on the resolution, so that it doesn't have to come back to us every year.
Right.
And it automatically.
Change the years and leave the days, leave the days the way they are, just change the year.
And it'll automatically adjust based on the percentage.
Right. That takes care of the grant guidelines. And if there's anything on the application that we need to look at as well,
It's,
I think it was very thorough.
yeah.
Multipliers of the
it's up to you guys. I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at it from.
I think,
Do we need it?
Think
I
we
don't
need it?
think
Do we
so.
need it? I don't think we do.
John, do we need it?
Do we need it?
initially it was more to weed out to say, okay, does this entity really qualify, whatever.
Not any statutory requirements, Jim, for the
Okay.
application.
So just the,
That's the question.
There is no.
so just to have
Omit
the,
that?
okay, and just have the project funding application, correct?
Shoot, we used to give out money if they just show up at City Hall and ask for it. And then I think- I
Jeez,
think
you're terrible.
ours
Well, they told me.
is, and asked an amount for advertising.
Okay.
Just make it easy.
The other thing I wanted to ask, do we have, it says on here about the website, something, Alice. It says on there to, I can't remember where I saw it.
Did they ever set that up, Jim? A website for, Visit Alex?
Yeah, visitalice.org.
I don't either.
Application or something like that. I can't remember. It's in here. It's in our guidelines and it says for them to,
Well, the application is online.
yeah, but there's a specific
There's a
website.
specific
that
place
says
to go?
Yeah, and to email.
Visit Alice.
Oh, it says www.cityofalice.org. So that one, we have
That's our
that.
website.
And then they have emailing visitalice@cityofalice.org.
Oh,
What page is that in here?
55, 55.
I see them.
You can check on where those emails would go.
Okay.
Got it.
What page were you looking at, Mayor?
55.
55
55.
of 82.
Yeah, because they've got it on 62 also.
Okay. Yeah, just if we're gonna give this out, I just wanna make sure that those are correct and active. And on number 4, on the application for page 49, numeral 4, that one's supposed to say period of support requested, not if, right? Correct?
Is that the old application though?
I don't know. This is only
That's
we're
the old
given.
one. It's the
That's
old one.
the old application.
Okay.
We're gonna use the new one.
No,
Okay.
That's the old one.
So it says if, or it says, oh,
So on page 49,
yeah.
that's the old application. We didn't know what y'all were gonna want.
Oh,
to
okay.
Go to the old or stay with what we're using,
Yeah.
Okay, so where's the new one? You have it in here?
which is that.
I just wanna make
It
sure.
starts on page,
62.
Okay. This one is,
this is the one that starts on page 59. and it's
59.
okay.
Actually, it's 61. Yeah, because we're.
The grant
doing
application, there you go.
application.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not doing the three.
Yeah, I can fix it. and
that's all right. I just wanna make sure that,
Yeah, because it has
What
the
we're
Visit Alice,
distributing.
Visit Alice at cityofalice.org. I think that was,
He did a lot of work
yeah,
on this.
he did. And I think that was supposed to go to Arlene's email or something like that.
oh, okay.
But
All right.
I remember them saying something like that.
I know.
All right.
So
then.
that amount's gonna be taken off here, the 40,808.
It'll be just a flat.
Just a flat.
I'll just keep the 50%
That
and
way,
remove
we're done
the
for the year.
year
We know
and
what
the date.
Yes,
Okay.
and that amount, that
And
40,000.
the pre-registration off.
Yes.
Yeah, what,
Yeah, that'll be easy.
what we're thinking also, John and I,
John and I. Okay, I was wondering.
if we move the application, if we move the application deadline up, so this can come, we can, include this in a budget on the line item,
Yes.
knowing what we're gonna forecast on,
Right.
on the dollar amount, and then those can be line item. Once the budget's approved, then we're done for the year, and all they need to do is submit what they need to acquire the funds instead of doing the application at the time. So, we should do that,
So you're gonna move to what date?
yeah. So, when we submit the proposed budget, we should have those in there.
Yeah,
So, we should have that,
so I was saying,
August?
and we do that in July. In July.
in the beginning, okay.
Yeah, July.
Should we have the June 30th be the,
Right, I think that would help us.
Yeah, June 30th.
So the
Yeah, 'cause-
application needs to be submitted during the prior fiscal year for the upcoming
Right.
fiscal
Correct.
year. Okay, did you hear that? The application needs to be submitted for the prior fiscal, during the prior fiscal year for the upcoming fiscal year. So the allocation would be, the allocation of the grant funds would be for the upcoming fiscal year, but they have to apply for it in the prior fiscal year by June 30th.
or, I mean, we could make it May 30th. I mean, it gives us plenty of time, because because in June, we're trying to get a budget together.
Yeah, we're trying to put it together.
And then break aside and say, okay, let's look at these 30 applications. Yeah, and we do, and what's at the tail end of that? We do May 30th, then,
Gives you more time.
yeah, that's when we could have them due then. And that gives us time to put them in the budget.
So what happens to this year?
Oh, well, this year y'all can decide to use any guidelines you want, or move forward with, how would you recommend they
We
move
make an
forward this year?
exception
Just,
for
I'd say just.
An exception for this.
We're right in the middle of it.
Just say that you're gonna go ahead, so these are our guidelines that are gonna begin for the fiscal year of for the funds to be paid in 2024. However, for funds to be paid in 2023, we're still gonna be using this original.
the same, yeah, last year's guideline and finish that up.
Moving
That'd make it a lot
forward.
easier.
But then you'll have to notify the organizations that generally submit things, that don't check the website, that, hey, guys, look, if you want money next year in 2024, you gotta have
Make
this
sure
stuff
that you get
in.
it in.
Right,
Before May.
for May, yeah, for the end of
You
May.
want money in
Or June 1st.
2025, actually, right?
Yeah, because this money is for 20, all the way to,
2023,
To the end of-
24.
right,
Okay, all the way till October. So if they want
Right.
money 2024, 2025, then they need to submit by June. this
by
year.
June 1st.
June 1st.
May.
By May.
May or June?
May,
May 30th.
May 30th. And I guess
30th or 31st?
30th first.
31st.
Okay.
We'll have to update this grant application because it says final report is to be provided to the city of Alice within 90 days completion of the event.
Why?
So do we need to say something?
it's 90 days.
No, it's because what you're gonna do is they have to file their budget, so that the money is funded. Then what they do is they come and they request disbursement. And so they'll file the budget and get approved by you guys, and then their event might not be till 8 months later.
Right.
They come ask for disbursement, and then they don't have to file their stuff, their records, until at least 90 days after the event. So it
Okay.
can stay the way that it is. This doesn't affect any of that reporting.
Okay,
It just affects their application period.
okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
We're good.
All right.
You said so.
I'm sorry Michael and I talked about it.
That's okay. I'll
Okay, so,
reprimand you later.
Mr. Garza, you have a question?
Just curiosity, actually, if, say like the person needs to apply for money for the 2025 year, you see how inflation's going kind of crazy the way it is. So the money they expected to spend, they put in for the budget there, but when the event comes around, say they have a vendor or somebody that tells them that, look, things are getting out of hand, we quoted you this much, but it's actually gonna be this much. Is there like an amendment that they can do where, they were taken advantage of or were told something differently, or,
No,
no?
No, because this is just kind of like,
we're helping.
I'd say, but like, kind of lucky we're doing it, you know what I mean? It's like, we don't have to do it. I mean, that sounds ugly, but like, it's, and a lot of it is not just given, a lot of it is, they have to do their homework. They gotta come back from the hotel and say, hey, look, all these people, they actually have to show it, nonprofit, 2-day event, there's a lot of, I understand, but like Michael was saying, if we're doing all this by June, then it's gonna be really hard to go back and kind of erase the tracks and fix something or amend it, whatever.
And one last thing, the, section 5 here of eligibility, says hotel occupancy funds may not exceed $10,000 for any event. So whoever's having an event, it's not gonna go over the 10,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what our ordinance.
Yes.
I missed that. I'm sorry. I was thinking about, say it again. What did
No,
you-
it states here that the hotel occupancy fund may not exceed $10,000 for an event, and I was just clarifying that.
Yeah.
it's- That's the limit, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, back then, there was it was very creative the way this thing was thought up. Some, federal council member had gone to talk with some different other municipalities and kind of came up with, we just kind of, instead of reinventing the wheel, kind of, borrowed their ideas and kind of make it a little more verifiable, versus just here's a check and, so, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're on
So-
5.6.
Yeah, I've been listening to the meeting. I think one of the concerns that,
My question is just,
can I speak?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, one of the concerns is like having checks and balances. I think that we probably discussed that, and that's one of our concerns is to justify the money that we're letting out, that it's being allocated properly, where not just used on what, Another thing is showing documentation that it was used, what
Yeah.
it was used for, receipts, things of that nature.
And that's how this application, or
Which
not
is-
the application, but the guidelines have, they're
Perfect.
perfect in there.
Right in line with that.
Yeah. So,
Not like the old days where they just come and ask for money and get it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's been
Line
an
up.
ongoing
And the city
issue
gets in
for a
trouble.
long time, trying to figure out the magic and how do you.
And I think
this
this was
is
the,
great,
this
yeah.
was the kind of the silver bullet, because it was just kind of like, to me, it's kind of like overly kind of, it's pretty intense, the application, they want
Well, it's
answers,
it's a
you know.
good checks and balances
balances,
within
yeah.
there.
Thank you.
And then, the only thing is to kind of make it, tweak it, and that's what we're doing right now to
Yeah.
just make sense for us. Okay. All right, so if there's no further questions or discussion in reference to this agenda item, I'll entertain a motion at this time, and I know, Mr. Lemon's gonna help us with the verbiage.
Okay, and so first, let's kind of work backwards and let's clarify this.
Okay,
Is that the issues that you all discussed and appeared to support, right? First and foremost is that you're changing the application deadline, moving forward after this fiscal year, that the deadline for the next fiscal year, for the fiscal year of 2024, 2025, October 2024 forward, that the application period all applications have to be submitted prior to the last day in May of the preceding calendar year, right? And so by May 31st of the calendar year before the beginning of that new fiscal year. So in other words, they'd have to apply for 2024, 2025, they'd have to apply this by this
This
coming,
This
by
coming.
May 31st of 2024, right? So that's number one,
Correct.
right, guys? And the second thing is that you all want to do is you want to take out the reference as to a specific dollar amount in regards to what's budgeted, so the application doesn't have to change. It's going to be 15% of the budgeted amount. Is that correct? Is that correct, Mike? Is that what you want to do?
yes.
Okay.
What's that?
And then.
wait, 15% of the budget,
And just explain, 15%, and I don't know.
50% of the previous year's allocation.
previous year's
Sales
allocation.
tax,
I was gonna say, because if you're talking about 15%, okay.
Okay.
So, of the,
Of the previous year's deposits.
okay, gotcha, there we go. 15% of the
That's
previous,
what was on here, Mayor, on page 62.
yeah,
It already had it on there, but they were just going to put the dollar amount.
I know, but
Just kind of-
the way it was worded
And-
might be
And
different. Okay.
there was one other item.
Okay,
What was the other item?
the pre-application,
Okay. then
Omitting the pre.
omitting the,
Omitted it.
You're gonna omit the
Yeah, this can-
pre-application.
Yeah, just an application.
Was there
Just-
any other specifics, Odie, that you needed to take out of it other than that?
So I'm just gonna remove the year on the applications and leave dates.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll fix all those.
But no years on the dates.
And so with those changes, changing the submission date, as I just discussed, changing to take out the specific dollar amount in regards to 15 years, or 15% of the prior year's deposits, and then doing away with the pre-application. Those are the changes you all would like to make.
Yes.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the changes to the application as presented by the city attorney?
So moved. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Okay,
Second.
so we have a sorry, thank you, Mr.
You're very
I knew this one was a little more complicated, so I don't want to get it mixed up.
So it was Sandra
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Okay, agenda item 5, yes, thank you, Mr. Esparza, too. 5.7, discuss, consider, and act upon approval of 2024 holiday calendar for the city of Alice and date and time for the city council meetings. Okay, Mr. Esparza, will
Yeah,
you be?
usually we do this in December, but we're bringing it early, trying to get some of the things that we have to deal with are the planning and zoning and their deadlines. And so we wanted to get ahead and get our 2024 schedule done. That way we can also work on our scheduling for the solid waste collection and post that for the whole year. And so whichever for you is a proposed holiday schedule, which is days-wise the same as last year, same number of days as last year. Yeah.
Okay.
And the second part is the meetings. And so what we've done and this one's a little different. We had some conflicts for the 14th, but it usually has been earlier in November and earlier in December. So we looked at the third Tuesday like we have all throughout. And once we get to November, it would be the second Tuesday of the month, and then December would be the first Tuesday of that month. And then in January, go back to, the third Tuesday.
Council, any questions in reference to this agenda item? Mr. Beltran?
No, I'm good right now, Mayor.
Mr. Molina?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask, are all these state holidays as well?
Federal holidays, we probably add one from federal holidays. I think what we did is we looked at the counties. I think they have 18 or
Yes, we have
19, and we
18,
dropped
We have 15, but
Yeah.
Juneteenth was the only one that was added as a federal
a
holiday.
federal holiday.
A couple years
And you forgot National Sandra Bowen Day.
Gee, Wawas, we need to.
Gotta add that one. I'll be the only one off.
Anything else, Mr. Molina?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mrs. Bowman?
I'm good.
Mr. Garza?
I'm okay with the holiday dates, it's just the time of the council meetings that we've got set up for next year. My schedule's kinda crazy, especially during the day, and it's gonna be kinda hard to make it at the 2 o'clock meetings, the schedule. Honestly, I think I'd like to do them a little bit later if possible, but I can see where I'm gonna have problems with this at 2 o'clock.
What about 10 a.m.?
Ooh.
I can't do it at 10 a.m.
I'd rather do it earlier than later. I know that the Commissioners Court is what, 9 a.m.?
I can't be here at 10 a.m.
It's too early.
That's,
I wanted to ask, on the Christmas holiday, it shows Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so you're gonna be working Monday of that week, and then Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday. I was wondering, what if you did Tuesday, half a day, and then add the Friday in? Because, I mean,
On
and
which
come back
one?
for one day? Just
Christmas is next.
for the December.
Oh, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That way, Monday, Tuesday, half a day, and then, or would that put too much trouble?
It's not a vacation.
It will be. It's our Christmas. No, I'm just asking. Okay. up to council. I do also feel like I wouldn't want our council meetings to move to 2:00. I think 4:30 is fine. It gives an opportunity for our citizens that do work. I know 4:30 sometimes is still early for a lot of our citizens, but 2:00, I don't know. I know other cities do different hours and stuff. It's up to y'all, but I do feel like we only have them once a month. Other cities have twice a month. We went from 2 times to 1 time, and now we're going from 6:30 to 4:30, now proposing 2:00. So I'd rather keep it, I ask council to consider that for our citizens, to keep it at 4:30.
Yeah, and we put 2 on here because when we moved to some of the 2:00 meetings the previous few months, we had positive feedback from some of you guys, and that's why we added there.
I
Up
think
to you guys.
we're serving our public, not, so. I
Yeah, well, the
think
county has
4:30,
it. What time does the county have their meetings?
9 a.m. or 9, yeah.
I mean, I can go to 3. 2 is fine for me, just because, you know, at the 4:30 dates, the 4:30 times, I've been here a long time, it seems like it, but they would just drag on, 6:30, 7, 8, and that's hard on staff. They have to sit here all day long, and then they go another few hours. Everything's live, everything can see a lot of times, so, I mean, I'm indifferent, but that's just me. I mean,
Yeah, I'm okay with 2 or 3.
I just go by whatever feedback I receive from the public, but it's up to council, whatever y'all feel comfortable with and wish to do.
I'm kind of with Mauricio. I like it later, but if it's convenient for everybody, I'll just have to make more of an effort, you know. It's hard because it's right in the middle of the day, you
Yeah.
know, and that's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
Like today, it's difficult.
Yeah, when we have it at 4:30, it makes it easier,
And I know,
to.
Robert's afraid of dragging on. I've been in those meetings till midnight here, you know,
Yeah.
and he's right. I don't want to do that either.
But we have control over that too. I mean,
Right.
we could always,
See, I was gonna ask,
Terminate.
Could we
Cap
put a
it.
time limit? Yeah.
well,
Maybe
not
two
necessarily,
hours
It's
at
hard to
the
cap a
most.
meeting.
not necessarily a
Not when
time
you guys-
limit, but
Yeah,
we
it's-
can always
what does that mean, time limit? I don't know what that means.
What is that?
You have to do all your business within a certain period of time, and no, that's,
No,
Yeah, that wouldn't work because
but if we've seen it, if we go, we could always recommend, yes, sir.
may I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Is that, why don't you compromise, and if 4:30 is too late and 2:00 is too early, why don't you say 3 or 3:30?
I'm good with 3:00.
Because what it does, in all seriousness, and that the 2:00 time, it allows staff to get back after lunch, to have stuff together, to do any final prep and that sort of stuff, and then we're here. It is difficult in the middle of the day. It is difficult. But that, you know, is one of the things that we can work with. But it allows staff to have the stuff, to not be here late into the evening with us paying overtime or things like that in those regards, to try to do it before 4:30. And, you know, Mr. Beltran, and I'm there right with you. We would have meetings every now and then till 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
We started at 6:30. And you'd want to be sick when you got out of here. Then you'd have to get up and go to work next day.
yeah.
And so I understand. And
So what about 3:30, guys?
I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
What do y'all think?
But like the only thing with 2:00, it's right in the middle of the day. If we could push it further, it would be good for, for me. But, and in all fairness, I know staff. We don't want to have staff here late, but it's once a month.
Exactly.
Once a month?
You know, so I know it's tough and to say that, but we have to be here with them as well.
What do y'all think about 3:30, guys? What do you think? 3:30?
Seems like a fair compromise.
It gives
I think
staff
what you
time
said, I
to
think
put
three-
things
I think
together.
3's good.
Three.
You know, I could do,
Was
believe it or
it,
not, 1 hour makes a huge difference.
Right.
It really does.
30 minutes. Yeah.
with staff, and again, you know, I understand the public, and the public does want to be here. And there are people that have complained about, as you said, Mayor,
We
I've heard
usually
it,
don't.
I've heard it too.
Yeah.
But with 3:00 is that it's been taking us about an hour and a half when we have a business meeting, and we don't get bogged down into a bunch of rhetoric And so that gives you all time, it gives staff time to not have to be here beyond 5, staff to potentially have to pay overtime and those types of things. So given our budget, that's important too. So
How
Like-
much
like-
overtime do we pay by having the meetings at 4:30?
Well, a lot of
That
it's
we-
more of comp time than, comp time than overtime.
It's comp time?
Also, when we get, when we've had the meetings earlier, we've had feedback because we have vendors that come in, that come from out of town and come visit also. When we, used to be very late, it's,
Yeah.
they're trying to travel at the end,
At night?
Right.
To Austin.
here it becomes more like a regular workday for them as well.
I'm good with 2 or 3.
So 3?
Yeah, I'm good with 3. Like right now,
Okay.
this was like this wasn't even a full meeting. This is like half a meeting. We're on the 8th item. We've been here 2 hours. Right? That's because there was no proclamation. I mean, a bunch
There
of.
was.
Well, what I mean is like normally we have a bunch of folks here coming in, whatever. But so it'd already be 5:30 right now.
So 3?
So
Okay.
I'm happy with 3. That'll work fine for
Yeah,
now.
I think 3 is good.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference, 1 hour.
That gives staff enough time to come back from lunch and try to do their final whatever. Thank you. All right. So, if there's no further discussion or anything in reference to the holiday proposed dates and the council meeting time and days, I'll entertain a motion in reference to this agenda item.
May I make a motion to approve the 2024 holiday calendar for the city of Alice and the date and time for the city council meetings to be date as listed and time changed to 3 p.m. Is that okay?
Second.
Okay? We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. 5.8, hear, discuss, and act upon a presentation by Alice Police Chief Eden Garcia concerning staffing, operations, intergovernmental cooperation, equipment usage / procurement, and crimes / arrest / prosecution data of the Alice Police Department. Welcome,
Thank you, Mayor,
Chief.
and thank you, Council, always for supporting the Police Department and for all your support and everything that we do.
Absolutely.
John, thanks for always your wisdom and your advice that you give us, and I know you don't get a lot of credit for it, but thank you, sir. I thank you for that.
What are you talking about?
Who's that?
So this is our first 3 quarters of the year through 2023. And so our calls for service, the year-to-date calls have been 13,216. So those are incident reports, those are offense reports and non-reports. So for example, incident reports may be just if somebody wants to file a report that's not a crime, but however, we still document it, we still have it within our system. Offense reports, naturally, if a crime occurs, then we go ahead and we submit a report and we type it on in. Non-reports, maybe they just had a call, there's no report generated, however, we still take notes in our CAD system to make sure if anybody ever has any questions, we go back and we have that information if it's so needed. So year-to-date, 13,216 calls that we've made. So these are arrests that have been made. Our first quarter, we had a total of 388. Of those 388, 77 were juveniles, and 311 were adults. So our second quarter, we had 56 juveniles, 243 adults. And then this quarter, we had a total of 234 arrests, 49 juveniles, 185 adults in the city of Alice. On those.
The numbers are declining.
Yes, and you'll see, and I'll show you some
I was
other.
gonna say, why?
So total number of citations for our first, second, and third quarter was 5,189. So, and contacts, let me rephrase that. So total citations issued out of the 5,189 was 1,224. Warnings issued was 3,965 in our city. So along the lines of what you're talking about, so I went back and because you always ask, where we going, where we've been, where we're going, and what are we doing. Right? So you said the numbers are declining, and so I wanted to show you everything that you've invested in our police department and where we're headed. Okay? So, and I went back to 2015, and this is burglary habitation. Now, when I look at burglary habitations, it's very important for me, and for because it shows when you start seeing a decline. Yes, you hear about drugs, right? But we don't have as much drug problem, and which we do, but we don't have. You won't see a lot of burglaries. Why? Because maybe we're making a difference in our community as far as drugs go. Okay. So in 2015, we averaged 11 per month at 132 for the first 3 quarters. I did this quarterly. So then in 2016, we had 172. Then on down the line to 2017, 130. And as you saw, as you look, it started declining. 2018, 93, 57, 69, an average of 6 per month. And then in 2021, it came down to 54, average of 5. And then in 2022 and 2023, we had 52, 42, which was average of 4 home burglaries per month. So that's been a great decline, and it's been because of the officers that are out there, and a lot of credit. This gentleman doesn't get a lot of credit, but our city manager, he's the one that does a lot for us. And I see these numbers declining because of the belief that he has in us, and everything, and all the time and effort that he gives to us and provides us. It really makes a difference for us. And then if you look at burglary of a vehicle, we went from average of 12 a month, which was 143 in the first 3 quarters in 2015. And if you go on down the line, you see it fluctuating. Then in 2019, you had 191, average of 16, 185, 121, 120. Now you look at 2023, we're at 51. It's an average of 5 a month. So we're making a difference in what we're doing. I know we don't get a lot of Facebook, but the difference is there. It's in the numbers. And that's something that I wanted to share with you. So now we come into what are we doing to curb speeding in our community, because that is one of the big calls and questions that we get from our community is there's speeding in our streets. What are you doing? So we've started with the help of our city manager. We started looking at speed limit signs. These are speed limit signs. They record your speed, and they also take photographs. So if you're speeding in excess, it'll take a photograph of your car. Now, by law, we can't give you a citation. But wouldn't it be nice if it was your child that was speeding or you that was speeding, and we go to your home and visit with you and just say, look, I have this car. Well, maybe it's my son, maybe it's my daughter, maybe it's my husband, maybe it's my wife. Can you just please slow down, right? And it gives us that ability to make that contact. And it's good PR for us, too, to go out there and visit with these people and let them know, I know if it was your child, for example, if it was my son, I'd want to know if they were speeding. You know, so it also opens that. And so when I look at it on a monthly basis, or a daily basis, actually, so this is what we're looking at. So this is Texas Boulevard, and this is what we are seeing on a weekly basis on Texas Boulevard.
Am I on?
So this is 1 week. You're on it, ma'am. I forgot to tell you. Please forgive me for that. So if you look at it, and what are the numbers in the far bottom right? What were the total for 1 week? 33,000?
Yes.
That's how many cars went through Texas Boulevard.
Almost 30.
In
So
1 week.
we've been averaging about 45,000 vehicles on Texas Boulevard in 1 week. You don't see that, right? You think, no, that's how many cars we've been.
More cars and
I go like
And,
about 6.
yeah, and it gives you an idea of, and it shows you their speeds, and that they're accurate. It's right on the money.
It is.
And so it's incredible to see. And you're gonna have some, if you notice, there's some at 70, and there's some at, there's one at 70, there's one at 60. But for the most part, everybody seems to be in line with what, the law is. It's 30. Now, also remember, when you're coming in from Texas Boulevard, you're going through Anderson Park, that speed limit is 35, and so sometimes people forget and they start slowing down, but, you know, so, yes, ma'am.
So are any of these are policemen on a chase or anything like that? I mean, 70?
Yes, ma'am.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And what this allows us to do also is, if you look at the time, this is somebody who's going 56 to 60, 60 to 70, all at 2,100 hours. So what they're doing is they're using this to say, I need to be in that location during that time.
That's right.
Find that one person that's doing that in different places of town.
So is this like 31 to 35 over the speed limit?
No, they're doing between 30 and 35 miles an hour.
Oh,
Well, that's
yes.
the miles per hour.
Yes,
Okay.
miles per hour.
Yeah.
So, and Mr. Esparza's right, and so they get this on a daily basis. What we'll set it up for them to do it on daily basis. That way they're seeing it, the officers are, and they can then, okay, well, at this hour, between 1 and 2 is when we're seeing our traffic, our high end, so we need to really move and move officers to that direction and that area.
I see what you mean.
So that's been pretty good. So currently, we have those signs on King Street, Seabreeze, Cameron, Stadium, and Morningside. And hopefully, and again, each sign's about $7,000 at no cost to the taxpayers.
Wow.
Everything was through grants.
Grants.
So, just so you know, and I know they'll make, well, that's a lot of, no, it wasn't. These were through grants. So thank you to Ms. Reeves and everyone who has helped us. That's where these signs came from. Thanks for, Gabe, thanks for helping us on that too. Gabe's always instrumental. But these are some of the things that we are seeing out there and where we have them. Any questions on these signs?
They're very effective, man. They're kind of intimidating when you're going. So I saw the one on Rose Drive.
Yes, sir.
Man, that one scared me. I
When
was
the
driving,
words
I
slow
saw
down.
the thing, I was like, oh no.
I
Yeah,
apologize.
but no, that's great because I know that road was always very, they would travel it very fast and got a lot of complaints from that road.
And here's one thing that also, we do have complaints from our citizens, but we hear them.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that just because we're law enforcement doesn't, we're going to listen. And that's one thing in our office, we do listen to them. And so we try to help them as best we can with everything we've got.
They're very effective, very beneficial.
And matter of fact, I met with one of them that had complained to us. I did meet with him again yesterday to go over what we're seeing, and he was okay with it. So, Leo, so he was all right with it. That's been good.
Real quick, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
You, we plan on having these out there for a while, right? I mean,
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
gonna
No,
be-
that's gonna be permanent.
Okay, it's
Yes,
gonna be
ma'am.
out there.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the more we bring people aware of what this does,
Yes, ma'am.
hopefully the more people will be aware and hopefully these numbers go down. That's what
Yes.
I'm hoping. I'm looking forward to seeing maybe next month or quarter or whatever on the numbers going down on the speeding. As
And-
people are more aware, they're like, okay, I need to slow down.
Yeah.
So if you look at the percentages of your speeders, and so a lot of times we give you, if the speed limit's 35, we'll give you up to 40, and you know how sometimes that's how it works. But anything above, it can be dangerous at any point. And if you look at your numbers there, it shows you how fast people are going on a daily basis.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. And you can request them at any time, because we have access to them on a daily basis.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I did notice here, and I must commend, is the average speed. Even though there's maybe one that's doing 50 or one doing 60 and so on, if we look at the average speed for the hours, they're all under the speed limit. So
At
that's
26 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty
So
good
they
news.
do a good job.
So thank you
The
to
community
our-
does.
thank
But
you
we
to our
do have
community.
those that are going to speed, and it's unfortunate, but we do have those. Some of them may be a police officer on the call too, man. You never know.
Or an ambulance, or, you
Yes.
never know.
Or a fire truck.
Right, Patrick?
And here's another thing that we're working on, golf carts in our community. So we're just it's just awareness, bringing awareness to our community, and I'll make this quick, just so you can have one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here it goes. So we did visit the Alice Municipal Golf Course today, and also the Country Club, and we left these there, so golfers can get these. But we're seeing sometimes, and we do get complaints of children driving golf carts in city streets.
Right.
Well, the law says you can't. You have to have a driver's license, you have to have insurance, you have to have lights. Sometimes in the middle, at 6 in the morning, they're driving down Texas Boulevard to go to the golf course with no lights. And so it becomes an issue, right? It just takes that one time. So we're hoping that we bring awareness to golf carts and let them know what the laws in the state of Texas are. Any questions on that?
So Chief,
great.
is this something that we're enforcing now, or is this something that we're working on?
We're working on it. We just want to bring awareness first and foremost to our community, to let you know that, be careful when you drive golf carts, naturally, but, you have to have a driver's license. You have to have insurance on your golf cart if you're gonna put it on the street, just like a car.
So no children or no one without a driver's
No
license?
one without a driver's license can operate a golf cart on city streets. That is by law.
And,
Very happy to see this.
where do we have these? Do you have them on your website or your
We
Facebook? or-
we have them at the golf course, at the municipal,
At
and at the country club.
And it's on social media.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
that's what I was
We did
asking.
put it on social.
Yeah, I think our
Okay.
city has it, I've seen it in your.
Yes,
Okay.
we put it right before Halloween.
I was
Yes.
gonna say, we
Thank
talked
you.
about this, remember?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
So,
And I'm glad before Halloween you got it out.
does it mean you can drive it anywhere in town?
Yes.
So you can drive this anywhere in town if it has this, like?
So there has to be certain restrictions. Well, you have to be careful because it's gotta be under 35 miles per hour speed limit within that area. So if it's over 35, you cannot operate a golf cart on that street.
Right.
If it's under 35, you can operate within your community.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I utilize my golf cart on the road all the time.
Yes, sir.
Safety bills?
When I got information about it to make mine legal to get on the road, I was told that they are a slow operating vehicle is what it's categorized. So then speeds above 35 you would not be able to be on. But as long as you stayed on the back roads, you could go to H-E-B, Walmart, whatever, just as long as you're on a road that's 35 and below, correct?
Well, we really recommend, only around the golf course. If you go into your golf course, now, we haven't gotten there yet, right? And I don't want to open up and say, you could go anywhere in the city of Alice, because there's a lot of questions, I'm sure that they have. There's a lot of things that we really have to look at before we make a rule of that nature. I'm scared because you're going to Walmart, you're going to people, H-E-B, there's a lot of traffic. But if you're within a distance of the country, of a golf course, you have to go to the golf course. You have to have a driver's license to operate it. But before we move on to H-E-B and stuff, we need to really sit down and talk about that.
So today, if you're driving one of these,
You gotta have a driver's license.
you can get a citation.
No, it's
No,
legal.
no, it's legal. You just gotta have a driver's license to
Okay.
operate. And you have to have insurance.
It used to be legal.
And not go on over 35.
Yes, sir, John.
John?
Okay. This is a good reference as to what TxDOT has. TxDOT has a list of things that are required in regards to, or DPS has a list of things required to drive a golf cart on
Right.
city streets. And there are restrictions in regards to the type of roadways you can be on and the speed limits that are there. And for those things, that it's gonna be an issue where this is probably, in talking to the chief of police, this is a very good way to show, look, guys, here's what we're not doing. We've got kids under the age of 17 driving golf carts. So even if they have a driver's license, they have to be of a particular age, right? And that additionally, that how many golf carts have you seen driving on our streets that have a slow-moving emblem on it? Okay, not very many, okay? How many actually have the reflectors in place? How many actually have the light? Not very many, and those types of things. I mean, I've seen lots of LED lights hanging off of them and music and flashing and stuff like that. And so it's just one of those things where we have had a few instances where there have been drivers that, could have killed kids in these golf carts in and around. And that, in talking to the chief of police, that this is an appropriate way to begin to give awareness, because generally people don't know. This is a good way to give awareness, and that's what he's trying to do.
Right.
But if you have particular questions in regards to, okay, well, is there anything else that I have to do or whatnot, you can check with the DPS website, or you can talk to the chief, and he can give you specific answers in those regards. When I was a kid, when y'all were kids, we just didn't hop on a car and start driving because we were big enough to touch the pedals and handle the wheel, did we? And so we checked out to make sure that we.
On the ranch?
Yeah.
On the
I was
ranch?
gonna say, you're asking the wrong.
But it's one of those things, okay? And he's done a great job in getting awareness out there so that we're a little safer.
Good job.
And so if you have any questions and you need more information, there's a QR code. that you can go on, and when you get one of these pamphlets at
Good
the
job.
golf course, and you take it home, just click on this, and it'll give you all the information that you so desire.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And so highlights for the Alice Police Department. So I want to share with you some grants that we've been working on that we've recently received. So naturally from Operation Lone Star, we received $290,000 this year for 2023, 2024. We also got a body cam grant for $29,768. We're working right now with TxDOT on a DWI grant for the holidays. That'll give us $18,500, and that's pending approval through TxDOT.
That's awesome.
We did get our rifle plate carriers, which was I think 2 weeks ago, for $49,000. Our Border Star grant, that's $100,000. Stone Garden is $27,000. Ms. Reeves has been really, really helpful in us getting these grants. Our staff at the police department, my co-workers there, have been very instrumental in putting these things together also. So they should receive a lot of praise for it because they have done the work on it. And so that's been really good. As you know also, Every Day Counts, It Starts With Me has been a big push by the school district. So we have been also working with our school district on truancy. Officers have been going with different schools, different campuses, to homes where maybe the children aren't going to school and just visiting to see how we can get them there. Maybe they need a ride, maybe they need some help, maybe they just need someone to talk to them. So we've been working hard with them on that. And thanks to Dr. Trevino's efforts, we've been good collaboration between us and the Sheriff's Department to get these kids back to school. So we've been doing it quite often. So that's been really positive for us. And just real quick, there's one program that Dr. Trevino has really been pushing, and she's put it together. We did have a meeting on Monday, and it's called Handle with Care. And so that'll take effect here, I think, by next week. And the fire department and Chief Thomas, myself, Sheriff Bueno, we met with the school. And if we have an incident, for example, that involves one of our students, we send them an email to the school. That way they know maybe that child's gonna have a tough day, whether it may be a home that burned, maybe a family violence, whatever it may be, but we give them that information to the schools, and then they take the appropriate action. Maybe there's counselors. I know that one of their counselors will be heading this program up, so it'll be working in conjunction with them to get these children help if they so desire, if they need it.
That is
So
great.
it's been a really good program that'll be coming up. I know we met with Mr. Luna. Well, we'll be meeting with Mr. Luna tomorrow in regards to that bash. I know they had set it for Veterans Park, but we talked to him. We'll be moving it to downtown. So we do have a meeting with him just to go over and clarify anything that, or questions or concerns that we may have, and that maybe he has questions for us. So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And that'll, I think he's talking about 4 or 5 groups coming, and so that'll be really big.
That's
So we
awesome.
do have a meeting with him tomorrow. And any questions on that from anyone? No?
Not at this
Okay.
time.
We did also meet with Chick-fil-A today. We talked about parking, grand opening. And so so we're prepared, we're ready to go. And so that'll be, well, I hope.
I know all the way down to the city.
So that's where we've been on that. So we have been targeting these projects to get these things up and running.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question.
Okay.
Border Star and Stone Garden, that's just yearly, that grant?
That is yearly, yes,
It's a
ma'am.
yearly grant, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And
So-
the Stone Guard, I mean, wasn't it higher before, or is that always the same amount, the 27,000?
No, it was less. I think, actually, Stone Guard, I think is 29,000. My bad on that. It was
29.
29,000. It's not 27, it's 29.
Okay, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's right then, okay,
Thank you for that clarification.
thank you.
I had a couple of questions,
Yes.
Chief. What was that Stone Garden again?
Stone,
Refresh my memory.
so Stone Garden is through the federal side, through Border Patrol, and so that helps us. It gives us money for overtime
Got it.
to work the streets, and also Border Star.
Border Star.
Got it.
Now, there's a caveat when it comes to Operation Lone Star. We have to spend Border Star monies, Stone Guard monies, before we can tap into Operation Lone Star. That is a new requirement
You got
uh,
it.
through the governor's office before we can touch. Now, the equipment, we can purchase the equipment that we were given or we got through Operation Lone Star. However, the overtime monies, we cannot utilize it until we've already gone through Stone Garden and Border Star.
Also, that rifle plate carrier, what is that?
So these are, we do have body armor, but you still have the possibility of a rifle, a high-powered rifle, 308 maybe, that you get struck an officer, and it'll go through and it'll penetrate your body armor. It has the potential to penetrate. So these rifle carriers, you go to a call, you can slip these rifle carriers in. It's like a piece of metal, and it's a ballistic shield, and it slides in your body armor. And so that in itself will help you.
Just made of a different metal?
Yes, sir.
Alloy.
It's stronger, and it'll stop a 308 bullet from going through an officer.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Crazy. I had one more question.
Yes, sir.
And Maurice, Councilman Garza might be able to shed light on this. The golf carts, are they like street legal? Like, do they have blinkers and brake lights and all that?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Horns in there?
So you do have, there's certain qualifications, and I know this is new, so I know there's gonna be a lot of questions from people and then from the council. But together, we can educate ourselves, because honestly, I don't have all the answers.
See,
But
this is
together
the
we
first
can
time
work.
reading of it. I'm from insurance, right? And I'm
Yes,
like,
sir.
I don't even know how we'd cover this if we did, right? So,
Yeah.
because we don't cover anything that's, legal to drive on the street now, so.
And I'm not gonna tell the insurance man about insurance, but potentially it could be under your homeowners. It just depends on how it's there, but I think you'd have to have specific dedicated insurance for this vehicle.
Right, yeah,
By the statute.
yeah. And anything that's recreational will have its own little thing, but anything
Just
that goes on the
another way for
street, that kinda goes under what's kinda, meet all the guidelines, right? Just like my vehicle when I drive off somewhere, that's crazy.
Yes, sir.
So y'all can actually issue like DWIs also?
Yeah, if you're operating on just like a
Park
boat,
there on a Saturday night at the golf course,
you're driving down the street, you get a DWI.
I get my brother.
Yes, sir.
So anything less than this is a violation?
That is correct.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Chief.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the presentation. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5.9, presentation and discussion from the Alice Fire Chief Patrick Thomas regarding statistics for the third quarter calls for service. This-
Mayor, council, mine is going to be a lot quicker.
Okay,
We don't get a lot of complaints.
Oh, man.
And I'm gonna say, we also don't get a lot of people that want us to go slower to get to their fires. They want us to go faster. So yeah, maybe some of those speeders might have been some of my guys. But before you have the statistics, a packet with the third quarter statistics and activity. There's a cover sheet that kind of goes over some of the things that happened this last quarter, so you can kind of see that. The biggest thing is going to be the CERT program, but that's all on your cover sheet. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me after this presentation. Some of the highlights, I just want to go over the highlights of the activity with our incidents. And I want to highlight that we're on track to have a lower call volume this year, which is a good thing. There's a couple different things that I'm attributing that to. One is when you dig into the numbers, you'll see that while we have a lower amount of calls, we're still having on average about the same amount of fires every year. So the fires haven't actually come down. It's just a lot of the extra calls that we get, the good intent calls, the power line calls, the things that are a little less severe. The more severe calls are all staying the same. We're still having that same amount. But one of the things that did help us bring some of these smaller fires, these smaller calls, like the small grass fires, things like that, down. We went through this past, and it kind of covered quarter two and a little bit of quarter three. Over the summer was we had a pretty busy fire season, but what helped us is we had the state send in some extra resources, and I think you guys might have seen some of them driving around town. They were staying at our hotels, they were eating at our restaurants, and they were out and about, and it was a good thing because it kept a lot of people were seeing fire trucks from Missouri, fire trucks from all over the state coming in, and it was keeping them on notice that, hey, we're under a burn ban. There's a danger out there. We need to be real careful what we're doing. And so I think that kind of helped it keep fires down. Everybody was a little bit more cautious, a little bit more alert. And so we didn't have as many wildfires as we normally would during that type of a weather pattern. But the state was a huge help with that, sending all those firefighters down. And through two different programs, through the State Operations Center, they strategically placed them, and they like our location. They weren't just here just for Alice; they were here for the entire region. But our location really benefited that. And then the other program was the TIFMAS. I think you guys, some of you guys were here whenever our firefighters were participating in the TIFMAS program. We were going out and responding to fires in Lubbock, on the border, everywhere. This was a kind of a return of that. Now they were sending firefighters to us. So we had firefighters, I think it was like almost 20 firefighters with fire trucks, ambulances that were here to beef up our responses, not just for Alice, but for the entire region. So I think all of that kind of helped bring our call volume down. But we're just for this period, we're significantly about 50 calls less, which is a huge thing. 30 less EMS calls, 19 less fire calls. We did get a little slower responding to calls, and I think it's probably chief signs that were scaring all the firefighters started slowing down. But we did take a little longer to get to calls, but we're getting out of the station a lot faster. So the other number to look at is our overlapping calls. We didn't have as many calls that overlapped each other, so it was call after call, not calls at the same time, which is a good thing. Other than that, that's the highlights of what these numbers are. In your report, you'll see general numbers, overall numbers, and then we break it down by region or by area of town. Our town's broken down into zones. You can also see the different zones that are in the county as well to see how many calls we went out there. In addition to that, if you look at our yearly statistics, I put down a 15-year. If you look at the monthly, you can see which months have been slower for us. Which they've all kind of decreased, and that, like I said, that September month was a real. Last year's September was like almost 30 or 40 calls more than this year's, so it was a big difference. And that's that wildfire season that usually comes into play. This year was a lot better, but if you look at our yearly numbers, we're on track to be lower. Still not as low as we'd like to be, but we're a lot lower than we were last year. Thank you.
Council, any questions? Mr. Beltran?
Patrick, what are we doing to try to improve our times, or is there anything that we're currently working on?
So our times have come down a lot. And I'd have to go back and see if I can run a report to see what our times were.
Or what have y'all done?
4 years ago. What we've done is we actually, and COVID kind of helped us with this. We opened a third station that didn't increase any kind of manpower or anything. It was the same amount of manpower, same equipment. We just spread it out a little bit. Distributed, and we're currently working on distributing it even further as we go a little bit further north. Once we move into the new station over by the Cape Ball Fields. So what we're doing is we're spreading our stations out a little bit more strategically, so that way we can get to the neighborhoods a little bit faster.
That's comforting to know. Thank you.
Mr. Willie?
No, I'm good, thank you, Patrick.
Mrs.
Chief.
Bowman? Any questions? I know you just.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you. We're good.
Mr. Garza?
Just a quick question. What is a lock-in, in quotations, if lockout? Use 511.
So sometimes maybe a child locked the door to a bathroom, maybe a child locked the door to a house. Sometimes it's a lock-in in a vehicle. I know here recently we had that wouldn't show up on this report, but I know here recently we had a couple, it was like 2 or 3 in a row day after day we were getting kid locked the door in the car, mom was loading groceries and closed the door and the kids in the car. When there are emergencies, we just break windows and go in. Our police officers and our firefighters kind of work together. Our police officers do a real good job of knowing when it's something the window just needs to be broken, or if it's okay, the kid's not in any danger, we can wait and let the fire department come and open it up with a pop-a lock or something.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Chief, what are we doing to get ready for the winter months? I know that sometimes people are now going to transition to using their heating systems and furnaces.
So we'll be working using the NFPA's. NFPA every year puts out different social media
PSA
campaigns, things like that. And so we're going to kind of use their. There's no reason to rewrite the wheel, right? They put out the flyer that Chief had with the golf carts. Those are
right.
Beautiful flyer. NFPA kind of does all that stuff for us. So we take those. They go as far as giving us packets with the with pre-scripted news releases for us to use. And so we're going to be using some of those to just launch campaigns to educate the public on what they can and can't do. And of course, our fire, we get them every year. People will call us and say, hey, I'm going to light up my furnace and there's gonna be lint in there. Can you come make sure that and we'll send firefighters out there just to make sure that everything's done safely. We check smoke alarms for them. We sometimes change out batteries in their smoke alarms for them. So we're available for the community as we are every year. So that's what we'll do.
Okay, I know you do it every year, I just like to get it out
Yeah,
there.
to get it out so everybody knows that it's happening. Yes.
Yes.
But yes, we'll be doing that here. As the cold fronts start to roll in a little bit more frequently.
Okay, I appreciate it. Any other questions or discussion? No? Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Patrick.
And I want to apologize, I forgot to mention something during our public comments. The Veterans Day breakfast honoring all our veterans, Friday, November 10th, 2023, from 9 to 11 at Veterans Plaza Park. That's November 10th, 9 to 11, Veterans Day breakfast. And then also, don't forget, today's election day, go out and vote. It's open till 7 o'clock at the courthouse, so I apologize, I forgot to do that during public comments. Thank you, Mr. Lemon.
Where's the breakfast? Where's
Okay.
this breakfast? It's gonna be at the park? It's breakfast?
It says Veterans
Yeah.
Plaza Park, yes, from 9 to 11.
Usually they're
Supposed to be
tamales.
raining.
Well, hopefully, under the gazebo maybe.
Yeah, we're
I don't
expecting
know.
a lot of
And I
rain that day.
believe the Veterans Burial Association is also having something on the 11th, is that correct? 11th?
Yes, they're gonna
At 10
have,
a.m. at the cemetery,
yes,
at the memorial there.
sorry.
So, and of course, there's a lot of Thanksgiving meals planned through the community, so,
You're both out of it.
yeah.
Agenda item number 6, executive session. In accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, the city council will now recess into executive session, closed meeting to discuss the following. The city council may enter into closed or executive session to discuss the following pursuant to 6.1, consultation with its attorney, Texas Government Code, and subsection 551.071, consultation with attorney on lease agreements to build new towers near existing water tower. 6.2, consultation with attorney regarding sales tax. And right now it is 4:01 PM, and we will enter into executive session. Thank you.
And
We know. All right, we're back. Agenda item number 7, return to open session. Return to open session and take any action necessary as a result of discussions and, sorry, I get out of breath from that.
From the
6.2. Texas Government Code and subsection 551.071. Golly, I'm gonna take a drink, sorry. Okay. 6.1, consultation with attorney on lease agreements to build new towers near existing water tower. Yeah, I got an ice and now I can't speak right. Holy oops.
Chew it.
Okay, so on 6.1, council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize city manager to negotiate and execute the lease agreements with Atlas Tower in connection with cell phone towers in the proximity of South Reynolds, Adams Street, and West Water Towers, also allowing the city manager to renegotiate and/or assign current leases.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. 6.2, consultation with attorney regarding sales tax.
No, there's no reason to take action on that. It was just
No action.
information.
Okay. Do we need to just, no action?
No action.
No action taken on 6.2. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion on
Mayor,
agenda.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, now a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes, meeting is adjourned. It is 5:25 PM. Thank you.